Okay, we'll do a quick recap of the year that was for 2012. Now, I'll probably skip some things because, as always, you might notice I have no script and I've got no notes or anything. So I'll begin first one with the Divas division. Remember when January rolled around and it was like, awesome. You know, Karma should be coming back. We got Beth Phoenix, we got Natalya, we got Tamina. We should have an awesome Divas division, finally. Then you're like, great, Natalya's on TV more often. And she's farting. Natalya, an amazing female athlete, has a farting gimmick. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. We still have Karma. We still have Beth Phoenix. We still have Tamina. Beth Phoenix, Tamina have a match. Doesn't get a lot of time, and nobody really cares. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know what? Because WrestleMania is rolling around with an awesome Divas match, and we'll. Okay. Okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Because we still have Karma. We still have Beth Phoenix. We still have Natalya, even though she's farting. We still have Tamina. We've got all these great women's wrestlers. And then Beth Phoenix and Kelly Kelly have a feud. And it takes Beth Phoenix multiple months to defeat Kelly Kelly for the title. Kelly Kelly. Okay, that's cool because we're going to see awesome match with Beth Phoenix and then Layla makes a comeback. Yeah, she's a decent wrestler, but she's not that over as a face. And then we lose Karma, Beth Phoenix, Kelly Kelly and the Bella Twins. 2 of them, really great wrestlers. 3 of them tried really hard. So what do we have be the main storylines for women this year? Well, we had AJ, who went from being kind of abused by Daniel Bryan to trying to marry CM Punk to making out with CM Punk, making out with Kane, becoming the Raw GM after the Anonymous GM was decided to be Hornswoggle using a laptop. And then she made out with John Cena and then kind of turned heel and made out with Dolph Ziggler. And also had a very minor feud with Vicky Guerrero, which went nowhere, thankful, with the exception of her screwing John Cena at the TLC pay-per-view and aligning with Dolph Ziggler. Okay, so she had this tremendous run, predominantly making out with guys and skipping around the ring. I'll be honest, she was actually the most entertaining, the most over diva of the year, period. Who also had screen time for the divas? Eve. Eve initially was part of a love triangle that was herself, Zack Ryder, and John Cena during the John Cena-Kane Embrace the Hate time when Kane seemed to not be able to defeat John Cena and then just destroyed Zack Ryder. Okay? Beyond all the awkward moments where, you know, on live TV, Eve would stand there and then have to walk into the back of an ambulance while being kidnapped by Kane, only to be saved by John Cena and make out in front of Zack Ryder. That's okay, because while she kind of turned heel and side with John Laurinaitis during the feud with Teddy Long, it wasn't until WrestleMania where she fully made a heel turn and attacked Zack Ryder, allowing Team Johnny to get the victory, and then tried to go face again for a while, only to have nobody really buy her as a face while she won a show on NBC about the military, to now being a heel again and a Divas champion. Yet the Divas division was kind of messed up for the majority of the year. Are they trying to do more things with it now? Yes. With people like Caitlyn stepping up, you can probably see slightly better matches. I'm looking forward to when Paige makes a transition as the anti-diva, at the same time when the Funkadactyls are able to spread their wings and finally become a very dominant force in the Divas division. So Divas, yeah, they kind of floundered the majority of the year. Flip side of that, the tag division was in absolute obscurity until 2 people went to anger management class. those two being Daniel Bryan and Kane, which later became Team Hell No. And all of a sudden, we have an amazing tag division. In the beginning, it was pretty much primetime players with AW who made an inopportune joke about Titus O'Neil being unstoppable like Kobe Bryant in a hotel room, which led to his firing. Yeah, people go, but Show made a comment like that in 2003. Yeah, it's a lot different now in the fact that the moment he made it, it was on Facebook, it was on Twitter, it was on TMZ, it was everywhere. It spread super fast. And it was really hard for the E to get around, and all of a sudden, that was one of the things people could really galvanize to and talk about how horrible the E is, as well as affect Linda McMahon and her Senate run. So you had the primetime players, Kofi and R-Truth. Okay? And then Team Hell No bursts onto the scene, which also led to other formations, like Team Rhodes Scholars. All of a sudden, the Usos got to be on TV again. You now have another stable in the three-man band. Technically, they're a tag team and a stable at the same time. You also got to see Mysterio and Sin Cara team up. And all of a sudden, you've got also International Airstrike. Now all of a sudden, you have a lot of tag teams. And the tag belts are being defended more often. You're seeing a lot more tag matches. And they're decent tag matches. Few teams actually now have names as opposed to so-and-so and so-and-so. The tag division really all of a sudden took off. Which seems weird because in the past, when you had teams like DX, Jericho, Showmiz, Rated RKO, you've always had a few teams that were up there, but they really had nobody to feud with. Now you've got a pretty solid tag division all of a sudden. And they did a really good job. Since the belts got on Team Hell No, they've held on to them. And they've done a good job of not getting along and then getting along. And the I am the tag team champion was pretty good. They've actually really done a great job. Which is weird because I'll discuss Daniel Bryan for a brief second. Daniel Bryan began the year, World Heavyweight Champion. Lots of really great squeaker victories. And then he lost at WrestleMania to Sheamus in an absolute squash match. And the IWC was like, oh my god, they're burying him, he's the greatest wrestler of all time, he's being absolutely buried. He is now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most over superstar. With two catchphrases, yes and no. He has finally conquered the what. Yeah, he tends to be the person losing the tag matches. Doesn't really matter. He's a tag champ, former world champ, and he is super over and almost on, 2 out of the 3 shows that come out every week. So he gets lots of airtime. Kane, the other guy tag team champions. He found back to being the demonic monster during the absolutely horrendous Embrace the Hate storyline with him and John Cena. And then he had a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania because they needed a match. Teaming up with Daniel Bryan, beautiful. People like to go, well, Kane kind of sucks in a pseudo-comedic role. When Kane teamed up with X-Pac, it was pretty decent. When Kane teamed up with the Hurricane during the Freaks Are Cool time of Kane, it was pretty decent. And again, he's showing a lot of longevity for a big man who hasn't had any huge periods where he's had massive injuries. We'll look at the mid-card situation. The IC title, Cody Rhodes really brought that back and did a fantastic job. Brought back the white belt, great. Lost to Show, which kind of killed his momentum. Good thing now that he's teamed up with Triple H's pet project, Damien Sandow, and their tag team. And he grew a mustache. Yes, he's been wrestling for quite some time, and the best thing about him currently that will probably get him a t-shirt is his mustache. The IC belt eventually found its way to Kofi Kingston, where it's been for quite some time. Actually went to Miz, then Miz to Kofi, and the Miz-Kofi feud was pretty decent. Kofi still holding on to the title, doing a pretty solid job with it. The Miz, former IC champion this year, did head up and was instrumental in the victory for Team Johnny, is now kind of a face. It is kind of weird seeing him as a face. He's still doing the same character. He's just trying to be funny as opposed to being obnoxious, and that doesn't work all the time. Del Rio now is also face, which I guess makes sense. I don't know if he's face or heel. To be honest, I don't care. I think he should probably go heel and have a great mid-card feud with Kofi Kingston. Really elevate that title. On the other side, the U.S. belt. I'll be honest, when they brought in Antonio Cesaro and they put the belt on him, his gimmick's kind of rough, but that man is a grade A stud in the ring. That guy is, super chiseled, jacked, and an unbelievable powerhouse. Still no Cassius Ohno, which I'm waiting to see him make his debut. But really strong, solid year for Antonio Cesaro and the U.S. Championship as a whole. The World Heavyweight Championship. Like I mentioned earlier, it was Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan lost to Sheamus. Sheamus then went on to have an undeniably too long feud with Del Rio. This feud literally should have been a couple of months. And it just kept on going with poor match after poor. These two guys had no chemistry. At all. Do you know why? You can't take high-class Mexican food and add mayonnaise to it. It does not work. Horrendous feud. Undeniably bad feud. Not the worst feud of the year, but still a very bad feud. Towards the end of the year, they finally made the right choice. Sheamus and Big Show, which most people kind of thought was going to be bad. Their match at Hell in a Cell, nice, brutal, vicious. It worked and it worked well. Survivor Series was good, but their first match was still so much better. TLC in a chairs match. Sheamus is kicked out of weapon of mass destruction, so he's kicked out of a knockout punch. Okay. What takes him out is a gigantic chair. A gigantic chair. And Show is still champion. Okay. The belt needed to be off Sheamus to have him chase it again. Some of the other things they did in the meantime were horrible. Seeing the Brogue Kick get banned was just, that was so stupid. Having him do the dissertation where, he was part Jewish, Sheamus Lipschitz. Yeah, we get it. You can use your accent, you can do potty mouth, juvenile humor, and the kids will kind of laugh at it. You can say arse. But since he lost the title, he had something he's going for, and his feud with Show, while he's on the losing end, was actually pretty decent. However, I still think the money feud for Sheamus, there's two of them. One is Wade Barrett, the other is Ryback. Speaking of which, Ryback had a ridiculous year. By showing up and squashing lots of jobbers, he all of a sudden became pretty popular with the crowd. IWC is still kind of, he's a Goldberg ripoff. Kind of. He's a big, strong dude, but lots of big, strong dudes are kind of like Goldberg ripoffs. No big deal. And it wasn't until John Cena had an injury that all of a sudden Ryback became main event. Yeah, he did show up to kind of help Mick Foley while Foley's getting beaten up by CM Punk. Yeah, I get that. But John Cena gets injured, and all of a sudden, Hell in a Cell, in a Hell in a Cell match, undefeated Ryback, CM Punk. So they had to kind of screw Ryback into his first loss. Okay, not a big deal. Find something else to do with him. Alright, Survivor Series. 5-on-5 match. Ryback on one side, Punk on the other. He can pin Punk, and it's okay. They can lead to another match. Great. Becomes a triple threat match with the aforementioned John Cena. So they got to screw Ryback out of it somehow. In comes the Shield. The saviors of the end of the year. Ambrose, Reigns, Seth Rollins. Great. You've got the Joker, Two-Face, and Bane. Yes, that is your stable. You've got the ridiculous talker, You've got the guy who's the high flyer, and you've got the absolute raw muscle who does very little talking. Lay out Ryback. Awesome. Ryback's going to take on Punk at TLC. Punk is now injured. Okay, switches to Team Hell No Ryback in a TLC match versus the Shield. Glorious match, one of the best matches of the year. Shield pins Daniel Bryan, of course. Weak link in the tag. I get it. So Ryback, had it not been for John Cena's injury, would probably still be in kind of like the mid-card area, but since John Cena is not given time off during the year, injuries happen. So I've discussed a lot of what's gone on. Yes, I have skipped certain things like the John Cena-John Laurinaitis feud. There's a reason for that. Sucked. The Teddy Long John Laurinaitis feud. Yeah, it led to a nice, 5-on-5 match at WrestleMania. Instead of having the Money in the Bank ladder match, it got more people involved. Okay, decent. Didn't really go anywhere. So I guess now we're on to the WWE title. This has sat firmly upon the waist of one man, and one man only. CM Punk. Currently, yes, Paul Heyman carries the title for him, but that's cool. So he began the year as a face, took on Ziggler. Yes, everyone wants to see CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler. They fought in January. Solid match. He then went on a feud with Jericho. Jericho couldn't get a win, but very solid matches. He then went on to feud with Kane and Daniel Bryan, which led to the Giant passing AJ around. And of course, we got to see Daniel Bryan and Kane and CM Punk in triple threat match. Good stuff. John Cena got to go back to chasing the title again. One-on-one matches, fine. Triple threat match with Punk, Show, Cena. Ironically, Punk had lots of triple threat matches. One we did not get to see was Punk, Jericho, Bryan. Let's be honest, that would have been the absolute best triple threat match you've seen out of the entire year. Would have been Punk, Jericho, Bryan. Didn't see it. And then at Raw 1000, he attacks The Rock and becomes a heel for attacking the part-time guy who has a title shot, which will be his third match in as many years. He became a heel. An amazing heel. Less with the help of Paul Heyman. And has had to do the cowardly heel bit. Wish he would still be more dominant, but he doesn't know how to write heels. Every heel has to either be a super coward, squeak to win, and constantly cheat. You can't be a fairly dominant heel anymore. I get it. He's currently injured, waiting to take on The Rock in January. Should be good. I'm looking for these two guys being on the stick, because I think if let them go unfiltered, I think Punk stands a good chance of tearing The Rock apart on the mic. Let him go unfiltered. We have seen The Rock get kind of frazzled a little bit, and I think CM Punk knows what to say to push Dwayne just out of his comfort zone and have big mistakes on the mic. I do think Punk has that ability. And in the ring, they should have a fantastic match. So, I guess now it's what's going on with Ziggler. Ziggler, opening match, had a good feud with Punk for a little while. Kinda got lost for a little while. Yeah, he was tagging with Swagger, still with Vicky. Won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Still kinda hamstringed by Vicky. Got into a decent feud with Jericho, where he beat Jericho and retired him. All in all, decent feud. Still didn't break that glass ceiling. Recently feuded with Cena, broke free from Vicky, now has AJ and Vicky Langston. So it seems like he's chipping that ceiling. He should bust through pretty quick. And he should become a major player in the main event scene next year. A person who's perennially the next year will be his year, Wade Barrett. Injured before WrestleMania. misses out on WrestleMania, comes back. You know, toned down character, he's now going back to his good old fashioned, his brawling roots. Has had great matches with Sheamus. Currently kind of feuding with Kofi Kingston over the IC title. Okay. You know, I'm thinking he's a really good fit for the SmackDown main event scene. I think he has good matches with Kofi. He'd have great matches with Ziggler, Sheamus. I think he can have a pretty solid feud with Show. Or Kane. Have a feud with John Cena again. He's still never finished his bit with Randy Orton. There's a lot of good material they can use Wade Barrett for. Oh, and how can I forget? We saw the triumphant return and quitting twice of Brock Lesnar, who showed up the night for WrestleMania to challenge a morally defeated John Cena in a match in my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Well, our north. Nice, brutal match, which he lost to John Cena. And then kind of gotten to a somewhat grown-up pissing match over his contract. And then he kind of quit. And then he came back and feuded with Triple H, where he beat Triple H at SummerSlam. And then he quit. It's an awesome $5 million. People are constantly trying to make his return. They have him for a year. He probably should be doing something or between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. What? Don't really know. But they spent lots of money on him. And he really does need to pay back what they put into him. So now we're on to John Cena, the Slammy Award-winning Superstar of the Year. His feud with Kane was poor. Him kind of ruining the relationship between Eve and Zack Ryder was poor. I was really hoping Ryder would have turned heel and John would have put him over. Didn't happen. Didn't happen, because instead, John had to fight The Rock. And he lost. Okay, cool. John was supposed to take time off after his match with Lesnar. Wasn't able to. So, while he had nagging injuries that required him to take some time off, he didn't get that opportunity. Instead, he feuded with Laurinaitis and Big Show. While this is going on, I think he got a few days off because of his divorce. Flash forward, he's now taking on CM Punk. These two guys never got to have their end-all be-all match, because John got injured because he wasn't allowed to have time off earlier on in the year. He's been pinned in multiple triple threat matches by CM Punk, and recently lost to Dolph Ziggler at TLC. So he's kind of floundering. He really does need to take some time off. Ironically, he'll probably end up winning the Royal Rumble to get involved in some sort of match for either he'll take on CM Punk at WrestleMania, which should be their last match, or maybe it'll be a triple threat where it'll be CM Punk, John Cena, and The Rock. Maybe he'll take on The Undertaker, but John Cena had kind of a poor year. And that is kind of the year in the E, as compressed as I can make it with no notes. You might notice I skipped a lot of SmackDown. I didn't discuss Brad Maddox because everyone should know who he is by now. He says his name like 1,000 times when he comes out. I didn't really discuss NXT that much. You know, there are lots of guys there that I'm waiting to see come up because it'd be really interesting to see the new influx of blood. At the same time, the E's got a lot of talent, not really being used that much. You know, the WWE title is doing very well. You know, longest title reign in 25 years. That's impressive. The World Heavyweight Championship belt, you can tell that while SmackDown was designed to build more stars, they need to build one or two more. Divas belt, that division really needs an entire redo. IC title, looking pretty good. US title, looking pretty decent. Tag division had a tremendous face-up throughout this year. If they could do the tag division for, let's say, the Divas belt, we could almost have a complete show.